Welcome back to In the Oven with Adam and Brad.
What's up, y'all?
We have a new look today.
New looks, new setup.
We invested in some new furniture. The guy wanted to let us know that these were $6,000 couches.
Yeah, he was very proud of his couches.
That we got on Facebook Marketplace for $800. So so we got an upgraded set now. Moved around the cameras. Still working through it. We literally put them down like less than an hour ago.
Yep.
So hope you guys enjoy this new little setup.
I do. These are comfortable.
Well, we need you to be comfortable.
I know.
Tell everyone what you did.
I got in a car accident, so I'm in a boot.
Yep.
I'm a booty.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, it was actually last Thursday.
Yep. On my way in, dropped the kids off. Had a guy stop just in front of me. I mean, traffic was backed up. It's not where traffic ever backs up, and
Yeah, and it was in the lane that it wasn't in the right lane. It was in the left lane, which most people are kind of cruising in the left lane. So completely understand how that could happen. And
it was a Ford F-150 into a Ford F-150, and I can tell you right now, the front end of Ford F-150s do not hold up as well as the back end of Ford F-150s. So my truck crumpled like some origami, and this other man's truck looked like it had...
We'll throw a picture up.
Yeah.
I have a picture.
So. Nothing happened to his, so awesome. Glad he's okay. Glad I only hurt my ankle,
Yeah, and your ankle got hurt because you were slamming on the brakes.
Yeah, pretty much. I went to jam it down and then boosh, so.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Lord's looking out for me, though. I only hurt my ankle. I mean, you saw my truck.
It looked pretty bad.
Thought I got a lot worse.
You called me that morning and said, hey, I'm going to be a little bit later than usual because I got to drop the kids off because Kirsty's dad had to go to the hospital because his arm was not
he had
looking
blood
right.
clot. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I'm like, oh, okay, so when I get here and you're not here, I'm like, oh, no big deal. And then Kirsty called me and I was like, that's weird. Kirsty doesn't, which is Adam's wife, doesn't usually call me. But so I was like, hello. And she's like, Adam's been in a car accident. And then I immediately realized on my way to work, coming towards work, on the other side of work, there was a car accident right there. And cop cars had passed me at the red light and stuff. And I go, oh, dang. I was like, was it on Jinx? And she's like, yes. And I was like, oh, I know exactly where that was. I saw it going in this morning. I literally thought, oh, no, someone got in a car accident this morning.
Yeah, my wife had to take my father-in-law, her dad, to the hospital. So I already knew she was going there. And boom, I get in the accident and, a little dazed or whatever. And, the people there helping me, talking to me. And I was like, hold on, I need to call my wife. And I was like, hey, babe, I got in an accident. Nope, yep, I'm good. No, take your dad. Oh, I'm fine. And then it just kind of happened to be on the way. So she's driving by, did not expect to see me. And I was like, oh, there's my wife. Hey, baby.
So, of course, she stopped. Yeah. And so then we actually walked out there and, you were in the ambulance at the time. They're just checking you out and everything. And obviously, I feel like if you get in a car accident that's bad enough that your car is probably going to be totaled, which your truck is totaled, I would say get an ambulance. Get in the ambulance because a lot of people, you didn't feel that bad when it happened.
No, my ankle hurt like a mother, but nothing else really bothered me.
Right, and then I went and saw you later that day, and you're like, oh, I don't feel that great. And then the next day.
So the letdown, I guess the adrenaline dump, all that stuff. It's kind of funny. I didn't really pay attention. I didn't look at my truck too much. I was hurt. There's people around me. But when I started seeing the pictures, once I was at the hospital, I was like, oh, am I more hurt than I am? I don't know. And then, so all day Thursday goes by. I'm like, I still feel okay. My ankle hurts really bad, but I feel okay. Then Friday morning, I was like, oh, I don't think I'm so bad. But by Friday afternoon, dude, I felt like I had been in a car accident. Just run over by a truck. Oh, man. The whole body, everything was like, I don't feel good.
Felt like you got hit by a truck or hit a truck.
And it's so funny, too, because everybody, I don't know why they're doing it, but they're like, do you feel okay? I'm like, yeah, I feel okay. They're like, oh, just you wait. Oh, you're going to feel so terrible.
Yeah.
I'm like, stop telling me this, man. You guys are medical people. Oh, just you wait. You're going to really be hurting.
Well, I mean, I feel like that's what,
should I stay here?
I feel like that's what a lot of people do about everything. Like when we were having a second kid, they're like, how's your first kid? And we're like, oh, she's great. They're like, oh, just wait.
Your second one's going to suck.
Yeah, your second
You're like, hey, don't talk about me. You don't know.
Yeah.
They're usually right, but I feel like if you just say everything, you're right,
Well, yeah.
Say enough stuff.
Don't forget, what was that word? Don't confuse a parrot for a prophet.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
We actually were. That was that podcast where these kids were just make up sayings. And that saying is probably one of my favorite ones. Don't confuse a parrot with a prophet. Because so many times people just regurgitate everything they hear. And it's eventually you'll be right if you say enough stuff.
Yep. Or just vague. Just vagueness.
Yeah. Yeah. But other than that, You doing pretty good?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm back. I'm so glad to be back at work. I mean, even really just being out on Friday. But then sitting around, you guys don't know me well enough to know, but I am a super mobile person. I got to get up, move around. That's how I kind of self-stimulate, get my energy, get my head right. So just having to sit with my leg elevated.
Well, but when's the day that you had less than 10,000 steps before this accident?
Bro, I can't remember.
Yeah, and you probably have less than 10,000 steps a couple of days now.
Oh, yeah, like 1,000.
Yeah, and so like this to Adam is like find someone's worst nightmare and then make them sit in it.
Yeah, man, it's like I got like spiders crawling.
Remember we were talking about the claustrophobia thing?
Yeah.
It would literally be like someone's like, I'm really claustrophobic. They're like, okay, we'll sit in this dark room.
The amount of people, like my wife included, that are just like, oh no, he's not going to be able to walk around. Like saying that, and like, you know, the hospital people are like, what are you talking about? And I'm just like, oh, it's fine. No, I'm good. I'm blessed. Thank you. But in the back of my head, I'm just like, oh. See, I wake up super early. I've got terrible sleep patterns. I mean, I go to bed super early, but I wake up super early. And since I can't go to the gym and I can't like go exercise or do anything outside, I'm like sitting there in the dark at like 3 a.m. going like trying to click around on my little crutches, trying not to make any noise in my house. It's terrible.
Are you reading anything?
Yeah, man. You know, obviously get on, cut the lights on, so that way I'm not actually sitting in the dark. But you know, cut the lights on. Got a couple books I'm hopping back and forth. I actually need to just go ahead and finish some fiction books. Rereading Call of the Wild. Hitchhiker's Guide. So
okay,
yeah, I'm basically like a chapter and a half of each one. No, maybe 2 chapters in one, and maybe chapter and a half in the other one. I just need to go and knock them out so I can get my 2 books in.
Yeah. For me, I have like a book I read at night and a book I read in the morning. I don't know how you bounce around like that.
Yeah, I just kind of, I go all over the place. Whatever's.
I mean, that is typical you.
Yeah.
So it makes sense, right? Yeah. And that's exactly why we were like, oh no, Adam's the kind of person that would take like walking meetings and like walking calls. Like no lie, if you could like track his footprints in the parking lot, it would just be like figure 8s or giant loops because he just walks in the parking lot on phone calls. Yep. So he's never one of the guys that needs to go get his steps in some other method. I actually remember one time I ran like 3 miles in the morning and I came in, I was like so proud. I was like, I already have 5,000 steps a day. And I was like, me too. And I was like, what? So anyway.
Yeah, so that's been tough. No, I mean, really just, you know, I just feel blessed. I mean, you know, I hurt my ankle. Yeah, we talked about it. Maybe I needed to slow down a little bit, stuff like that. But, man, I could have been really hurt.
Well, yeah, I mean, you could have been in a wheelchair, which would be even worse.
Right.
Thankfully, we have an elevator at Fat Weird, but you could have been in a wheelchair. You know, there's a lot of other situations that could have been worse off. I mean, you know, obviously with the car accident, it was like way worse.
Well, and it's also opened my eyes. Not that I don't know how many of y'all ever kind of pay attention to this, but just how in a hurry everyone is, and it winds up being really rude to folks that may have some disability, whether it's temporary or not. But like, again, to keep them going stir crazy and stuff. And I got, you know, family, kids, trying to go to the grocery store with them or just do some of our semi-normal activities, riding in the little cart, scooter cart, whatever. Yeah, man, folks don't pay you no time of day. They cut in front of you. They jump in front of you. My only hope is that they were doing that to me because I'm young. I hope none of y'all are doing that to elderly people.
Yeah.
But likely it's happening.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that I told you that like the service, that church that I've been going to has been on like the ruthless elimination of hurry.
Yeah.
There's a book about it. Yeah. But it just like talks about just, we are in such like a hurry in society. And also what we allow to consume our time, thus we're hurried everywhere else. Yep. Like, you know, you sent me something that talks about like 93% of a 18-year-old and older's time is going to be spent on their cell phones. Screen time.
Isn't that sad?
Yeah. And so when you think about it, it's like that's a lot of your life that you're giving up to your screen. And then I actually heard someone say this the other day. When you buy a cell phone, you are not the customer. You are the product.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, you've now become the product in the aspect of like they're selling you. They're selling your data. They're selling your attention. You know, all that stuff.
Yeah,
so
it's wild. And the other thing that really kind of, I think, really exacerbates the hurried thing is the amount of shoppers for apps or whatever in the stores. You know, you can see the people scanning whatever, and like their mentality is like, I'm working. And you're like, yeah, okay, but like I'm here trying to get groceries for my family.
Yeah.
it's a little different. But I mean, I get it. Their pay structure doesn't pay them for time, pays them for deliveries. And so, yeah, it was just very frustrating when you have people like diving through your cart when you're like, I don't really fully know how to drive this thing, man. I don't want to hit you. And they're just, I need this bread.
Yeah.
Okay, man.
Yeah. It's hard because we live in a society where it's just like more output means better, you know? And it's something I've tried to do recently. I told you I've been reading the book called Boundaries. Yep. And I've taken a lot of other people's, like, I guess, things they're carrying and like tried to help them with it. And it's like bogging me down. And I'm like, no, I can do both of our stuff. Yep. And now I've kind of got to the point where I'm like, no, I can't do this anymore. Like, you either need to like pull the weight you need to pull, or like I need to find someone that can pull this way. Yeah. And so like that's been a thing for me too. And then too, at work, I've gotten some phone calls or texts after work, like, hey, can I call you? Can we talk about this? And I'm like, can it wait till tomorrow? Like if whatever you say to me, like, does it have to be said right now or can it wait till tomorrow? And most of the time they're like, oh, it can wait till tomorrow. And I'm like, just let me know tomorrow. Because like I'm trying to protect that time with my family. It's because important. I don't want to be on my phone around Letty or like taking these phone calls and then getting stressed out about stuff that like, A, I can't do anything about it right then. And like B, like I don't need to do anything.
Right.
I'll handle it tomorrow.
Right. So I mean, protecting that time is huge because best case scenario is they're just going to deliver whatever information and it's going to degrade family time because you're just going to be angry or sad or upset or worried.
Yeah.
And again, if you can't do anything, then it's like you could just easily tell me after a good night's sleep when hanging out with my family. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
If we got to get on top of something, if some press release, something needs to go out or something needs to get immediate, fine. But otherwise, it'd be all right.
Yeah, if nothing can be handled until the next day, then might as well handle it the next day. Yeah. Otherwise, then I've got to sit in it now with you, and I'm not trying to sit in it with you. So let me know tomorrow. So, all right, we got some videos to
let's see. We got a first one up here. It says, don't just start a company. Who we got in here?
Oh, it looks like Zuck.
All right. Or, yeah, dude, uncool Zuck. Where's cool Zuck? But go ahead.
Most important thing that entrepreneurs should do is pick something they care about, work on it, but don't actually commit to turning it into a company until it's working. If you look at the data, the very best companies that have gotten built, a tremendous % of them have been built that way and not from people who decided up front that they wanted to start a company.
We were just talking about something like this before the podcast.
Yeah. I think that a lot of times people feel called to do something, like they're like, I want to start a business in this sector and things like that, and they don't test the waters at all, and then they kind of leave everything behind and jump into it, and if they end up failing, it's one of those situations. I get it. I kind of understand one part, like don't have a safety net because you can like fully commit to something, but I also think like there's like don't be ignorant.
Right.
If you have the ability to start something while your safety net is in place. For me and Aubrey, we started our social media stuff. We started like all that stuff before we quit our jobs. We did start Fat and Weird after we quit our jobs, but we knew that we had a safety net of the social media aspect if Fat and Weird didn't do well. And then Fat and Weird ended up being, what became the main thing. Yeah. But Fat and Weird was actually not even going to be the main thing.
Well, right. And at that time, you couldn't hope to have known whether or not Fat and Weird was going to do it because, we were the first. Obviously, I wasn't here, but nobody was really doing that. So it wasn't like a proven model, right? Yeah. Whereas like if you were like, I sell car tires, you're going to sell some car tires. I would say that would be my only caveat to that would be it depends on your mindset. I guess I've been running businesses for so long now that like I don't think my marinara recipe is so good that everybody wants to buy it or whatever, or pick a thing. I guess people buy marinara recipe, but if you really just everybody around you is like, oh, that's really good, you should start a business and sell that, you might not actually have a viable product at market, right? But if you can see where there's room in the market, like underserved, it can be anything. It can be like, man, there's nobody to clean cars around here and do a good job.
Yeah, solve a problem.
Anything. If you're solving a problem that people legitimately are complaining about and have the checkbook to back it up, yeah, you go start that business.
Yeah, but I would say most of my friends that have businesses now, Bryant, who used to work for me, that did the mobile detailing, he started his mobile detailing while he was working for me.
Oh, right.
It would only take weekend clients.
Yeah, for sure.
And then after work clients.
Yeah.
And then he built up enough clientele that he was comfortable quitting the job and then said, hey, if I focus all my time on this, eventually I'll make more money.
Yeah, when I started, it was a franchise, but when I opened US Lawns here, we had the gym going full time. I had personal training clients, and I did not need an ounce of revenue from that company. In fact, I could afford to fund it considerably as needed, and it took a bit, but like the way I saw the room in the market was, I mean, we were a commercial only landscape company. We could take a poll of basically, or take, you know, an assessment of how many properties were in the area, a quick drive through the area, and you can see that a lot of them are underserved. It didn't take me very long to go in and ask these people what they were paying, and they just told me. Maybe that took some tact, maybe not, I don't know. And it was like, okay, I can back calculate, and then it's like, okay, are you happy with your landscaper? No, not particularly. What are your points of pain? And a lot of it was just like, they never answer their phone. I was like, cool, hiring a call center immediately. Phone answers 24 hours a day. You can call my line. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Cantrell's in a meeting, blah, blah, blah. It's a call center. They would forward it over to my cell phone, and you get a call back from me really quickly. Yeah, that's right. I mean, I guess we knew, you know, I started with a partner. We knew we were going to start a company. It was, you know, we were going to grow it, but like there was a need.
Right.
Like there was a problem in this area. There still is. But.
Well, I think that like, what's the point in like jumping away from any kind of income you have if you have free time? Now, if your job is to the point where you're like traveling all the time, you never, and then I can see where you have to quit that to jump into like whatever you want to be doing. But I always said, like, if you've got free time, then you have time to do this other thing. Yeah. And then when it gets to the point where now both of them have consumed all your free time, then step out full time into your like side hustle.
Yeah, if you've got no time, you should have some money because you should be able to be compensated for all that time, effort, and energy. And if you're not, then I would say the easiest path to more money would be tweaking those skill sets of whoever's already paying you, however you're already getting your money. I think you can get more out of it by figuring out how to do more. I think that's very simple. We can all learn some strategies. There's tools. There's AI. There's all kinds of tech that can help you.
Or like little degrees. I know, like if you work at a nursing job, getting a little like another degree or another certification.
Little pay bumps here and there for sure.
But yeah. So I mean, I agree with what he's saying on this situation. Yeah. Again, it's not for everyone. I think it's not every industry that you can do that in, but majority of them.
You look at some of these people, though, and I'm not trying to in any way take away from, you know, Zuckerberg or anything that he's done. But a lot of these folks had one immediate, like, explosive success. There was, I'm sure every company had some struggles, but I mean, some of them just straight up explosion. They're amazing. They have all the revenue to hire all the best people in the entire world to come on board. And like maybe on your little ivory tower Wizard of Oz world, you don't really know what it's like to start a business. And like, it's also easy for a multi hundreds of billionaire to be like, no, it's okay. Stay where you are. Somebody barely making ends meet might need to, you know what I mean? Jump out there and take that effort. So,
but I mean, I will say you always have free time. Like I don't know anyone that has zero free time to like work on that stuff. I mean, you give up. You have to give up your weekends. You have to give up your nights. But like people don't realize, I used to go to work at BASF. I would get there at like 5:30 in the morning, and I would stay till 3:30 in the afternoon, and then I would come home. And from 4 to like 7:30, 8 o'clock, Aubrey and I edited videos, did client emails, planned out content. She would go downstairs and make dinner, and sometimes we'd eat dinner like at our computers. Sometimes we'd decide to stop and eat dinner, but then we were in bed at 9:30 or so every night.
Yep.
And it was just like that was the process. And then the weekends was like go out and film a YouTube video for something, and then Sunday was like started the editing, and it just like that was a rinse and repeat process.
2 to 4 hours a day, consistently at anything. I mean, you've seen how much you've improved at running.
Yeah.
And you're not running 2 hours every day.
Mm-hmm.
2 to 4 hours, and maybe physical activity is not quite, you don't necessarily need to jump out the gate and run 2 to 4 hours every day, but like working on anything will put you so far ahead of your peer group, period.
Oh, yeah.
It might put you in the running with somebody who's doing it full time if they are half-assing what they're doing or coasting.
Don't they say like if you read like 3 books in like one sector, then you already know then like more?
Yeah, that's
like...
a Tim Ferriss thing, man. You read the top 3 books in any like the 3 top selling books in any given sector, and you know more than 90-something% of everybody. And I would say that that's probably pretty true because most generalists, the layperson, has no interest in Shopify marketing techniques.
Right.
But you go read the top 3 books, You can have a conversation with anybody on this planet. Now, there are people that are going to be way above you, but it's rare air.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, yeah, it doesn't take very long. Even 15 minutes a day of reading, of course, it depends on how quickly you read. You can crush books in a year.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
Yeah, just sit down, focus 15 minutes, get up.
Well, I think I'm doing about 20 to 30 minutes of reading, and I've already finished 3 books. This 3 books by February. I think February 1st, I literally finished my 3rd book, and I'm like started on 2 more, and one of them was like 300 and something pages, and I think I'm literally halfway through.
Hell yeah!
So like I think that like I had a goal to read 12 books this year. I think I'm going to end up reading 12 books by like the halfway point of this year, if not quicker. So
keep it going.
Yeah. So then I have to up my goal. So
yeah. What books are y'all reading? Anybody?
Well, you asking them out there?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Yeah. Comment below.
I read Don't Let the Enemy Have a Seat at the Table and The War on Worry.
Okay.
Both of them were by the Lou Giglio.
Uh-huh.
And then I read Launching with God, and it's my friend Zach that does like the daily devotionals. Mm-hmm. I say my friend just because we actually like met him in Orlando. He gave me a bunch of his books, and it was about like entrepreneurship and like God and like how to remain faithful to God through that and stuff like that. I read that book, and now I'm reading the Boundaries book, and then he has another book that I just started. So
great,
yeah,
hell yeah.
So I like those I like those like books that make me feel like I'm becoming a better person. I don't know if it's working, but I feel like
I was on a big self-help book kick for a long time. You know, all the books, all the things, the dip, the the E-Myth, all of those. They're great. Read them. I think once you get to a certain point, though, not to take away from what you're doing, you're going more niche and diving into niche parts of yourself.
Right.
I think once you've read enough of those generalized books, the business books that everybody recommends, it's all regurgitated the same stuff. And because it's really, there's only handfuls of good things that you do in business or in life or whatever. When you really niche down, though, it's like, why do I feel this way, or why do I act this way or do this way? That's harder to unpack,
Right. Yeah, that's the Boundaries book. Like, why do I feel the way I feel about certain things? I think for me, have you ever read Atomic Habits?
Oh, yeah.
So people tell me, they're like, I love that book. It changed my life and stuff. I think I'd read so many books before that when I read Atomic Habits, I'm like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
No, duh. Like,
right. That's how a lot of them are to me.
I was just like, yeah, I mean, obviously. For me, it was just like, this is going to sound really bad. Just like, be more disciplined. Like, I don't know how to say this, but like, you don't want it bad enough if you're not willing to like sacrifice the things to get those things.
Yeah. The subtle art of not giving an F, I listened to that on the way I was driving somewhere, probably over Louisiana or something at that time. And yeah, all of it was like, yep. Yeah, that's what you do in that situation. I almost wanted them to tell me what other people did. I don't have great examples, but it was just kind of like, let it roll off your back, keep grinding, keep doing your thing.
Yeah. And I think for me, it's like when I remember him talking about like habit stacking. He was like, if there's something that you're already doing and you want to do something else, like just like make that part of the routine. And I was like, oh, I already do that.
Yeah.
And so like, for me, it's like if there's like a pill you want to take and you're taking your other pills, like obviously put that pill bottle with them. Or if you want to take it at night, then put it with the melatonin that you take every night or like whatever. And I was like, well, for me, I was just like, duh,
right.
But some people were like,
how do you all normally remember to do things? Because that's how I do it.
I have to put it
right.
Like stuff. It's like, I want to remember to do something.
One thing that I thought I heard, and I don't even know what they called it, but basically they said there's kind of like 2 main motivators for people. There's people that are motivated by like people telling you, yeah, you can do it. And then there's people that are motivated by people saying you can't do it.
Right.
And I guess I've always known that I'm motivated by you can't do it. So like I'll proving people wrong and stuff like that, chip on your shoulder. But as you get older, it's harder to do that. Because when people go, you can't do it, you're just like, F you, get out of my life.
Yeah.
You're not like, I'm going to show you. You're just like, yeah, I can.
Well, for me, it's just like, who are you?
Right.
Like, I don't need to prove it to you if I can do this or not. So I actually, truthfully, it's something that Nick Bear says that I like, is just like prove yourself right.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like kind of like, I can do this. It's like, okay, now like prove to yourself you can do it, And so I think that for me, my motivators have to be intrinsic. Like no one told me like, you can't run a marathon. I was like, I don't run as fast as I feel like I should be able to run.
Yep.
And I want to be able to like go out and like run 10 miles and not be like, oh my gosh, I need 2 days to
Yeah,
recover.
but if people like told you like, oh, you need to be careful or anything.
Be careful not to get hit by a car.
Okay, that's good. That's careful advice. Yeah. I don't know. I just remember, obviously did the CrossFit stuff for a long time.
Well, people say I'm gonna lose muscle. A lot of
well,
people say
yeah.
that.
So with that, we were always doing, some kind of run or some kind of like Tough Mudder or some obstacle course, this or that. And anytime I would like add some training or add some whatever, the amount of people that were like, oh, you be careful, blah blah blah. And I'm like, people run 100-mile races every day.
Yeah,
like I can go run around the block few times.
Garrison just told me that there's a guy that's going for the world record for the most consecutive marathons on a treadmill, and it's only like 15 days or something like that, right? Remember he told me? Oh, 30, yeah, 30
Garrison,
days for the marathon. So, yeah, he said the half marathon. So he's like, I could do a half marathon every day.
Yeah.
So
yeah, there's some account I follow on Instagram. I can't think of the kid's name. He like does a half marathon every day or has been for a while.
Well,
but you don't know. I'm like, do you?
Yeah, I know.
Do you? I mean, your little 15 seconds of sweaty. I can do that.
There's like people that have been like, I've cold punched every day for 500 consecutive days. And I'm like, do you travel? Right. And we travel, like, that to me is when fitness or whatever you're doing becomes like too much of your life, to the point where like you can't go on vacation because you need to like call up places and figure out if they have a cold plunge available to you.
Well, so
like that doesn't add to your life anymore.
No, it doesn't. But the big takeaway that I think y'all could definitely benefit from, like you and I have been doing fitness related stuff practically our whole life, at least longer than, the halfway point. I'm a lifer. So like regularly I will not go to the gym for periods of time because it doesn't matter because my life's in the way. It doesn't bother me. Doesn't anything mean because I'll be back next week. It's sort of like faith or anything else that I have. It's like, yeah, okay, maybe we don't hit church as much, but that doesn't impact my faith. It doesn't impact,
Yeah.
I do it mainly because, I want to make sure the kids and everything develop.
Right.
But like, I can go eat pizza. I guess for so long, again, being like head coach or whatever, you'd see people out there be like, oh, you consume a pizza? Or you do that? And you're like, yeah, man, I do. Hopefully
David Goggins doesn't see this and come after me. But
yeah, just kidding.
I remember. No. I remember being backstage with him. So Aubrey and I were on a show called Pickler and Ben back in 2000 and gosh, it would have been like 2019. And they were talking about Fat and Weird Cookie, and we were on the same episode that David Goggins and Andrew Zimmern were on. So we got to like meet them and talk to them. And backstage, I told David Goggins like, "Oh, I have a cookie if you want it, but you probably don't eat that." And he's like, "No, I want it. What kind of cookie?" And I was like, oh, "It's like I have the Pudge at that time. It was like peanut butter one, your shirt, you know." And so I went and got it for him, and he like ate it, and I was like, "Oh, I didn't think you ate that stuff." And he's like, "No, I eat stuff like this all the time." I was like, "I just don't talk about it because people don't understand that just because I eat this sometimes doesn't mean I eat this all the time."
Yep.
And so on social media, he has to portray this like
fringe.
Yeah, I mean, well, and extremes work the best.
They
I
do.
mean, you look at, what's his name, the Liver King guy.
Oh, yeah.
When people go just so far to one side, that's almost like a freak show, and it works better than being like, no, I like to run really, really far and push my body to the limit, but I also like to eat cookies and cake. And they're like, oh, you're just like me, except like you're just really hardcore about like fitness too.
Yep.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah, fringe definitely works the best. Yeah, people want us to live in a vacuum, if you will.
Yeah. When you realize that like most people share like 50% of their life, like commonalities, like, I don't watch a lot of TV, but I do enjoy sitting down and watching TV with my family or like watching a movie.
Well, that's what I think that's the biggest part of the don't meet your heroes thing. I think a lot of times we meet them and like you realize some things maybe about their personality that's a little messed up, especially some famous people, and you're like, oh, I don't like the way you are as a person. But on the other end of that, I've also met some, heroes of mine that are famous, and it diminished it to me because it's like, yeah, you don't have anything quite so special. You're just a lot more consistent than I am. You just put in the work more than I do. It's, and you're just like, you're a regular dude who's just excelling faster or better than me. And you're like, okay.
Right.
So it's like meeting your heroes, if you can use it as an internal reflection, which I tried to, but it also takes away from the fact of being like, building them up in their head,
Right.
So.
Yeah, agree with that.
All right, here's what we got next. We got Jeff Bezos' big bet.
Amazon Prime would not exist if Jeff Bezos had not made this bet. In 1997, Amazon was just a small online bookstore, but Bezos had a vision to revolutionize online shopping. That year, Amazon invested $100 million to build its first 2 fulfillment centers. Critics called it a gamble, as the company was barely making any profits at the time. But Bezos knew that owning the supply chain was key to long-term success. And so that $100 million investment laid the foundation for Amazon's legendary logistics network. With faster deliveries, customer satisfaction skyrocketed, and so did sales. By 2005, Amazon launched Prime, promising 2-day shipping. What started as a risky investment now generates over $25 billion annually from subscriptions alone. The story isn't just about warehouses, it's about vision and smart investments. Bezos turned $100 million into an empire.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
I would like to be a fly on the wall or whatever, go back in time, because you hear about things, especially with like Bezos and a couple of the other ones, that hindsight's 2020 and you can kind of craft a narrative however you want it. But it's like, did you truly believe that you were going to take over like basically last mile shipping and all that stuff with this Amazon network? Because if you did, yeah, we should have been using this man somewhere else. Like,
right.
You know, like just dang.
I think the hard part for me to wrap my head around is just like companies of Amazon size just have opportunities that like everyone else doesn't have.
Nope.
Snapchat, I don't think has ever been profitable, like ever. So you can look it up, but I think that they have like never been profitable. And it's like, I'm like, well, how are they still operating? Like who's giving them money? Like how is this going?
No. Yeah, nope.
Yeah. No, Snapchat has not been profitable on an annual basis. However, Snapchat has been profitable on a quarterly basis using a special measure called EBITDA. But essentially, how are you still around and like make like how do you pay your like where is this magical money coming from?
I wish my brain had clicked younger in life into finance because I remember hearing Bezos going on talk shows and like kind of laughing about being the famously unprofitable company. Ha ha ha, we're Amazon. We're worth billions of dollars. We lose millions every year. And you're like, how?
Yeah.
How?
I mean, was it just investments in the future?
I mean, there's so many different things that Amazon had going for them that I think it's hard to kind of quantify. But yeah, I mean, going public, having constant investor pouring into your company. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where you expect to get your money back.
So, yeah, don't come to us for answers on this because I'm literally like, I have no clue how these companies do it because it's one of the biggest. Like, I literally told Adam, I think I saw this like a year ago, that Snapchat had not been profitable. And I said, how is it still around? If Fat and Weird wasn't profitable ever, it would be just like me throwing money into it. Like, I would just stop, I guess, unless I was just like, felt like I was building something. But then at some point, like, how are you convincing everyone else to throw money in it?
How are, yeah.
Come over here and give me $10 million because I'm doing great things over here.
Yeah, and nobody could have understood. I mean, yeah, that's why I want to know what the meetings went like. Like, what vision was he painting, and how clearly must he have been able to paint that to be like, we're going to build million-square-foot buildings, and we're going to have like 900,000 employees in there?
So I find that so much more impressive of like how they convince people to like go in with them than what they built. I find it so much more impressive that they were able to rally people towards their vision more so than what they
bro,
actually.
In the late 90s, can you imagine trying to get a hold of 100 million?
Yeah.
Like that was real money back then. I mean, it's a lot of money now, but it's a lot less now.
Yeah.
So like 100 M's on like an idea. Like,
also,
I got a bookstore.
The internet wasn't the same way. So you were calling people probably.
Yeah, with a phone book.
Yeah. And you were like, hey, man, I need $100 million for my online bookstore.
My bookstore is going to take over the country, and we're going to bend the United States Postal Service to our will, and we're going to basically take over UPS, and we're going to da-da-da-da.
Oh, man. Right.
Wild. What is your relationship with money?
What's your relationship like with money?
I don't think about it. What I like about money is to not think about it.
Do you like spending it?
I like buying stuff. I have a nice car. Drove here. I drove a 69 Camaro.
See, but that's
like that.
different.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah.
That's character.
I like fun stuff. For the most part, I'm not interested in it like as a goal. What I like about money is not having to think about it. My friend Brian Callen said this to me once. He said, real freedom is when you can go to a restaurant and not worry about what anything costs. He's like, everything else is bullshit.
It is.
And it really is.
Everything
Everything else is bullshit.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's why, like, when I know people talk about Fat and Weird all the time or, Max selling sour strips and stuff. And obviously you can afford a different lifestyle, but I find that like a lot of my friends don't live a different lifestyle. You know, I have friends that are, I mean, arguably billionaires, if not 100 millionaires, and they live in nice houses and they drive nice cars and they fly private whenever they fly. But like, I don't know, they're not like living
Mega
like this
yachts,
24/7 mega yacht vacation life. Like they stay at home majority of the time. They go on vacations, but like normal people go on, like I say, the frequency that a normal person goes on vacation. Their vacations are much more lavish because it can be.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I would say that's always been my only goal with money, is to be able to obviously take care of my family, take care of any of my, friends or anybody that I feel like and money just does it, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm strong, so I can help you move, but like if you were in really a tight up spot or family or something, having some money to help pay for movers or whatever is always going to be a little more useful. The restaurant thing, man, hit it on the head, growing up, being young, even a young man, you got to really pay attention on what them things cost. And, you're making your choice on your dinner based on your wallet. And like everybody does it. And it's not that I don't do it now. I still might go like, I ain't paying that much for a steak.
Right.
But like, I don't want to be like, I can only afford the chicken.
Or you don't look at the menu of the restaurant before you go there and go, we can't eat there tonight.
Right. And so the ability to go there, the ability to take some family, and I know we've talked about plenty on that, but the ability to take some family and the ability to pick up the tab. I mean, it's just that, and then the vacation thing. My family and I don't want to even go on necessarily more vacations or live any kind of vacation lifestyle. My wife and I are both, very creatures of habit and like to keep a certain lifestyle. But yeah, when you go on that vacation, you want it to be a little nicer, fly the way you want to fly, stay where you want to stay. Sure. It's also really easy to have that mentality.
When you have the money.
Yeah. When you have Joe Rogan kind of money.
Yeah.
I would say though, that if I ever had anything, a tenth of Joe Rogan level success in money, it's probably what I would do is put my money with a financial advisor and let them put me on like a, payment plan if I were ready to kind of retire or stop working, just because, I don't want to think about it. You don't want to stress.
Well, you've heard me say that before. All the time I say, if I had this much money and it accrued this much interest, this is how much I'd have per year to live on.
Yep.
Because my idea would be like, obviously, this is a lot of money, but if you had $10 million in the bank account, which actually there's some people that are really big on Instagram that they live by the 4% rule or something like that, where essentially, but long story short, they do it with much less money. They say like, okay, if I can put $1 million away, I can live off of $40,000 a year because everything else is kind of paid off. Yep. But if you had $10 million operating at 5% interest, which is so easy to get 5% return on your money. Again, maybe some years you only got 3, but then there's going to be years you got 7. Yep. The stock market over the last 30 years has returned 10% on average. So even if you put it in the stock market in like a NASDAQ fund or whatever, or a Vanguard fund, you should return 10%. Again, if you just kind of baseline on 10% or 5% rather, that's $500,000 per year. Mm-hmm. $500,000 per year that you would have to live off of. Yep. Taxes, sure, come out of that, whatever. But like the point is, like if you can't live off of $500,000 per year, then I don't know what to tell you.
I don't either. I'm in full agreement that maybe your lifestyle needs a closer look, or maybe your neighborhood needs a closer look if you can't live on that kind of money. Or get after it harder. I know that Grant Cardone famously said one time that if you made less than $450,000 a year, you were broke or whatever. Yeah. So, but
broke to him.
Besides him, I think I'd be just fine.
So that's like that comes out to like $40,000 per month, and so you look at it and it's like, well, if you really wanted to go on a lavish vacation every quarter, it's like, well, I know I only need let's say $10,000 a month to like keep up this lifestyle I have. It's like, well, then that means like you got like $90,000 to spend every quarter on like a crazy vacation. So it's all budgeting. It's what all things in life are budgeting. So just a different level that you get to budget at. So, just gonna set aside $10 million to live off of it.
Easy, right? Just set aside that $10 million.
Yeah, with your 30 vacation or 30 rental homes that you have by the time you're 30 years old.
Yep. Let's see what we got. Mr. Beast's mom's issue with spending.
There was one time where I accidentally overspent and we were like negative $200,000. My mom was like losing her mind. I was like, it's fine, Mom. Next month we'll make like 200 grand or whatever and I'll just spend a little less. We'll dig out of this hole. She hated it.
Because she was helping with the finances?
That, but we just didn't have money growing up. And so like, I think one month we made like $100,000 and she was very adamant. She's like, just put 20% away. Just let me build a nest egg, this and that. And I was like, no, actually I was thinking of giving like $100,000 to Twitch streamers. I think that'd be a good video people would like. She, for 10 hours straight, was like, why not give them 80,000? And so I was just like, if we made 100 grand, why would I not spend the 100 grand on videos? And she'd be like, put some away. And I was like, but if I put it away, I would just spend it on other videos. So why can't I just spend it on videos now? I was like, Mom, rent is like $350. The car's fine. Why do we need to put it away? And we would just do that for hours every single day. But eventually she got to the point where she's like, you know what? I'll just trust you. And that's when things got great.
You know, that's another one that
You ever
I don't
accidentally
understand.
overspend 200,000?
No, not accidentally. I've spent 200,000 and be like, But that's one of the ones I don't understand either. Like he claims that he like gives like everything away. I'm like, how do you have all these employees and all this stuff? And you have to obviously be keeping some of it, you know?
Yeah, maybe it's changed now. I don't know. The whole Mr. Beast thing is one of those. Everybody giving you advice is 100% right until they're wrong. And so I guarantee, I mean, everything I've heard about that dude is like every cent that was made is returned, you know, put back into the next videos. And these numbers are ginormous. So it's like, oh, don't worry, Mom, we'll make another 200 grand next month. It's like, oh, okay, cool. You know that? So like this kid at that time running Vines and stuff. You know, I mean, he started when he was like 12, dude. His parents, everybody must have been like pulling their eyelashes out.
Yeah.
I would not have allowed Liam to do that.
Yeah.
For his own good, right? For his own good. And I would be right until kid turns around as a billionaire, and then I would have been massively wrong.
Yeah, I think for me, I would love to interview him from just a mental health standpoint. Like, I'm just curious. I mean, it may be great. He may be great. I've always told you that if I ever got a lot of money or a lot of fame, I would literally have a psychiatrist like on staff. One that I could trust, because I feel like there are weird handlers out there and stuff. We've talked about that. But for me, I just think that, like, I don't know, they said since cell phones or smartphones have come out and like social media platforms, like depression levels in teens is like at an all-time high. And I just see the amount that people are absorbed into that. I mean, Aubrey and I have like super limited our cell phone usage this year, and our marriage is probably the best it's ever been. Yeah. And so I look at a lot of this stuff, and I think that, you know, again, it's like fire is a tool. It can make you food, keep you warm, but it can burn your house down. It can kill you.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, because his entire brand, because the whole brand, right? Like, I mean, you and Aubrey, you're known for Fat and Weird Cookie, but you aren't a cookie. Yeah. Like, he is the cookie, if you will. Yeah. Like, at all times. And I agree with you, man. Like, he can't go to eat. People are doxing what car he's driving.
Yeah. I saw one where they were doxing him in a Starbucks line. They like, I bought Mr. Beast coffee. And then he was like, he responded to him like, I bought everyone in the line coffee. Like, thanks for doing it, you know, type thing. Yeah. But like, no one's having a good day every day. Nope. The person that you think is just like the Mother Teresa, the Gandhi, like whatever you want to call them, they have bad days and they aren't on point all the time. Right. And I couldn't imagine what it would be like. I mean, people go on Reddit all the time. And well, no, people go on Reddit all the time. They're like, I met Aubrey today. She wasn't as nice as I thought she was going to be. Or, you know, it's been admitted to me by someone in this room that, you know, there was interaction where like someone didn't think Aubrey was going to be a nice person. And then later when they like got to know her, they realized, oh, like she is nice. Aubrey's but it's just because she's not outgoing. She's very shy. She's very to herself. So people see that as like rude or secluded.
And people a lot of times don't realize that a lot of influencers, even very charismatic and over-the-top influencers, are doing a lot of what they're doing with just themselves and the camera and their audience. Right. And so, like, then when they're out in public, they're not necessarily look at me all the time. They're not necessarily that same version. And so, just with as well-known as I am in this town, dude, if I'm having a bad day, like, I feel like I have to hide. So I can only imagine what, like, legit famous folks like y'all or whatever have to deal with, because you're like, I'm going to run into somebody. They're going to want to talk to me. Then they're going to go, what's wrong? Or
well, I've gone to the gym, and like you know how it is, especially when I used to go to the gym at lunch. Like you're getting beat down all day, and then you go to the gym, you're not in a good mood, you just want to work out, and then like people want to like talk to you and stuff like that. And so like you try your best, but like sometimes your best isn't that great.
Yeah.
And so it's really hard to be held to like this, like you got to be on point standard all the time. We go to expos and like for hours you're just meeting people,
Yeah.
you know? And
oh my
like,
God, it's so good to meet you.
Yeah, and you have to just like be high energy like the whole time, or else someone's like, well, I met Brad and Aubrey, they didn't seem very excited. And it's like, I literally met 150 people, and like I am excited to meet you, and I'm so glad that you came. But like, it's difficult to maintain that energy level.
Yeah, let me come to your work and interview you in the middle of your shift and see how you are. You know, it's like
so.
All right, we got what's really happening at DeepSeek. Okay, tell me, Cleo Abraham.
If you're wondering what the heck is going on with DeepSeek, the new Chinese-made AI model that's causing a freakout in the US, here are the 3 things you need to know. Okay, 1. The reason this new model is impressive is because it performs nearly as well or better than the current top AI models in reasoning tasks like math problems, coding, and knowledge-based questions. But 2, the real reason it's such a big deal is that all of that high performance supposedly costs a fraction to run compared to those other top AI models. And they claim it only took a fraction to make, 6 million compared to billions for similar performance. But 3, and this is the most important thing, DeepSeek shows genuinely big technological innovations, and we know that because they made it open source. The biggest one is that it relies much less on human feedback to check its answers while training, which people are freaking out about because it shows a way that AI could learn even more than we know, because it's not limited by what we can check. And in breaking news, Alibaba just released yet another AI model that does even better in some ways. And we just released an hour-long interview with the CEO of NVIDIA, who's at the center of all of this.
Yeah, so I just think that there's a bunch of keywords in there that they say. Right? Like, I can say a lot of things about Fat and Weird.
Yeah.
You can go on the internet, and someone will be like, I made $1 million this year selling this course. And show me
this
show me
is,
the
I'm not saying this is in any way market manipulation, but all of this press sure made NVIDIA stock tank, sure has taken a hit out of, like, Llama and the rest of them. And so whether or not this DeepSeek is what they say it is or not, it is really kind of correcting some stuff in the market, I would say.
Well, and 2, like, if it is real, great.
Yep.
Because that just means that people are overinflating the value of some of this AI.
Well, I think we're going to get to a point, though, where we have to figure out, like, okay, just basic IP stuff, like we have to deal with here.
Yeah.
If I make your AI, make me an AI, is the new AI mine or yours?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of speculation that DeepSeek was programmed in a way to prompt the other GPT, Gemini, the rest of them, and literally like get its answers. Or
learn from it.
I don't know enough to speak, get its code,
It's
but learn from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So effectively prompting it hundreds of thousands of times a second to just bleed all the information it had. And if it can do that, that's impressive. But is it just ChatGPT?
Well, I mean, isn't that what kind of happens in every innovation, right? Someone spends a lot of money researching, inventing something. Someone else comes along, looks at what they did, looks at their mistakes, and then invents this next iteration.
Well, and the only way to make it cheaper would be to make the code or whatever it is more elegant, so it has to run less lines, right? I mean,
I don't know. It's all computing power, so I don't know.
Yeah,
but then there's people that are saying like, oh, they really are. It's really the same price, or NVIDIA chips are involved in this, and da da da. So I mean, at the end of the day, like, I don't know what's true and what's not. But if it is true, I don't really see this as a negative. I see it as this like, great. Now we're making AI more affordable.
Yeah, and open source, right?
Yeah.
And so like, I know that was a big deal when OpenAI, hence its name, came into the market, was its open source ability. Now, okay, they took a turn, they want to make some money, extra money off of it and all kinds of stuff, fine. But the open source nature, not that I'm intelligent enough to read that code, but I know we got some watchdogs out there and they're running that code and making sure that like my data is not being directly sent somewhere, at least if they can find it, or someone will, because y'all are smart out there. Yeah, that's what I like. Because otherwise, ChatGPT, man, like you go type it in, where does that go?
Yeah.
I mean, it's helpful, helps me with emails, does all kinds of stuff for me, but like, where's it go?
Yeah.
I'm not asking it anything that I don't care. It can leak all my information all over the internet, but still, also, it's kind of private.
Well, speaking of that, I actually saw where Amazon Alexa can share your voice, like to improve its stuff, and you have to go and turn that setting off. Actually, my dad sent me that reel.
Wow.
And you can actually go back and listen to all the times you've said Alexa, or it thought you said it.
Oh.
So, yeah. See, there you go. See, it's over there. It's over here listening to our whole podcast.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. Okay, see.
Jeff Bezos.
All right, what's next?
All right, thank you, Alexa. All right, Theo Vaughn losing sponsors over a guest.
We had Robert Kennedy Jr. on, and we had a company call, or a couple companies call after that and say just stuff about him. We're not advertising on this episode. Matters need to take the episode down, you know?
What sponsor did it?
Peloton was the
It was
Peloton.
Peloton? What do they sell? Bikes, the stationary bikes?
Yeah, dude.
Peloton sells stationary bikes, and they got a problem with Robert Kennedy. Do we have Pelotons in the gym? Are those
Watch
Peloton? I'm not bullshitting you. You can film us.
Yeah.
My guys are going to take the Pelotons out of the gym today. We're throwing them out of the UFC gym. Yeah, no, that's that. And who the are they?
Yeah, first of
Right?
all.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Peloton.
I heard that about that happening.
Yeah.
Which that's so funny because it's like, oh, you're gonna pick on Theo Vaughn. I'm the big brother. I'm gonna pick on you.
Yeah.
Also, Peloton's losing money like crazy.
Yeah.
So like for them to even like try to flex on something is pretty wild. So
And RFK, dude, he's a healthy guy. Like that goes hand in hand regardless of what your politics are. If you're just a health company.
have you seen some of his confirmation hearing stuff?
Yeah, dude, Big Pharma's like out to get him.
Dude, Big Pharma has got money everywhere.
Yeah, and little
That is what you should not like about the government is the lobbying
Lobbyists.
situation. Like it's at the end of the day, the fact that money can end up in people's pockets, even though it's like not how it's supposed to go. That is what's wrong with the government. You're essentially buying politicians, and people are able to buy them. And if you don't think people can buy politicians, then I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it's sad, man. Super sad.
Because at the end of the day, it's like they're like, well, man, I'm just making more money, and I'm not going to take this drug, so whatever, you know. So yeah, I mean,
Dana White's in a cool position, right? Because you know he runs the UFC, so by nature, his fan base is just going to be a certain type,
right?
And like they want to watch grown men or grown women just beat the crap out of each other.
Right.
That's what they're there for. That's what they want him to do is promote that and do that stuff. So like. He's in a cool position. He doesn't have to worry about getting canceled.
Right.
Because, like, his fans don't have those politics.
Right.
So that's cool.
Yeah. But, I mean, yeah, the confirmation hearing stuff was wild. Like, he wasn't even, couldn't even answer some of the questions because they were just barraging
Man,
him.
and the amount of, like, just folks on social media that are literally, like, picking at this man's disability. They're supposed to be like, you know, tolerant folks are just like making fun of the way this man talks and all kinds of stuff. And
my thing is, if he wants to make your food healthier, like, why are you so upset? I think that most people they get hung up on his vaccine stuff.
Yeah.
But the truth is, like, he's not against all vaccines. I think he's against probably delaying some vaccines. I do think it's kind of weird that we give hepatitis B shots to babies, which is accidental needle sticks by like drug users or a sexually transmitted disease. At what age do you need that? I don't know, but I can tell you it's not when you come out the womb.
Right.
And so I think that there is a time that you need to let bodies get acclimated to like normal things. And yeah, I'm sure I agree with you. Polio is non-existent. We have a polio vaccine. Sure. Some of this stuff, vaccinate. But like some of these vaccines, you look at it and like when I was a kid, we got vaccinated like 12 different vaccines or something like that. There's like 36 now.
Well, and so the correlation and causation, you know, two different things. But like, you know, Robert Kennedy kind of gave a neat little breakdown and said that like men in their 60s, the instance of autism is like 1 in 10,000. Whereas our children's age, it's like 1 in 30 something.
Yeah.
And so that's just, I mean, it's not very long.
Right.
And so, yes, there's food, there's seed oils, there's all the things, there's all the chemicals, there's all the petrochemicals in all of our foods and everything else. But you're right. Do these babies need all of these jabs? And like, can we investigate? Because I think we take this like, you know, like, oh my gosh, no, you're
can we delay
you're a conspiracy
it? Yeah,
theorist.
like, can we delay it?
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not saying they don't need to be vaccinated. I was vaccinated for hepatitis B in middle school.
Yep.
That's when we got it done.
Yep.
okay, can I just give it to my kid in middle school then? I just think that you're like, every time you give it to anyone that's younger, they just have less of a fighting chance. If I feel like, you know,
yeah, these things are modulating DNA. They're doing all kinds of stuff, and you don't even really have your own set yet. So
So that's all I'm saying. I think people are just saying like, can we look at this? Can we make sure that we're all like, it's good to go? Because again, like you said, vaccines have increased. The amount of genetically modified stuff has increased. The amount of chemicals have increased. Yep. The amount of like red dyes and genetically modified stuff.
Yeah, there's a guy
so,
that
there's so many.
Yeah.
So you can't point at one thing.
Yeah, there's a guy that I follow that for probably months now. He does this little slide of like, I ate that when I was younger. There was nothing wrong with it. And then so it's like a picture of like, pick it, mayonnaise, bread, whatever. And then it's like, no, you didn't. And here's all the new chemicals that are in it. And so it's like, you know, our parents' age going, oh, I ate that when I was a kid. No, you didn't. Mayonnaise was mayonnaise. You know, like everything was just that. Now it's got every chemical, every color, everything.
Well, that we can get into that on why publicly traded companies that gobble up all these small companies only care about profit. So they're going to look at a product and be like, it's cheaper for me to put this in it than that in it. It's not going to change the flavor. Let's put that in it.
Yep. Yeah, canola oil, man.
Yeah.
Y'all ever eat any canola? Just have a handful of canola.
Wasn't that started as like a gun?
It was lubricant for tanks. Yeah, high heat lubricant for tanks and machinery during World War II.
Yeah. So it's just like, it's just. Canola stands for Canadian low acid. Okay. Well.
Okay. Didn't know that. But yeah, they basically have these big machines that can only press that and that only. And they were like, we can put it in food.
Yeah. It is wild.
All right. We got shower thoughts.
Oh, this is his favorite.
See if I can remember.
All right, see if you can pause them.
Remember more than one of these.
No, he's gonna try to pause.
Okay.
Remember?
Isn't it funny how your character doesn't blink in first-person video games?
Okay.
Yeah,
thought about
if he blinked, it really would get annoying when I'm trying to aim at somebody. Hey, you blink when I blink.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe they do. They just synchronize the blinking. Oh, got him. Synchronized blinking.
Rabbit hole there.
Shower thoughts. If you own a nuclear bunker, you need to stay within a 10-mile radius at all times for it to be worth it.
Yeah. I've always thought that was kind of funny because there are people that in the like Midwest have bought like decommissioned like military bunkers and they've like converted them, but they don't live near there.
Right.
So it's like, how are you going to get there?
If a nuclear attack happens.
People are like, I'll drive. It's like, do you know what's going to happen to the roads?
Well, also, do you know how much, like you said, you don't have time to react. Like, they're not going to be like, yeah, there's a nuclear missile coming right now. You have 48 hours to get your
It'll
life together.
look like the intro scene to the show Fallout. If you haven't seen it, watch it. It's just like, doosh, and you're like, you have seconds.
Yeah.
You ain't out running a nuclear blast. You can just see it from really far. You know?
Yeah.
Being too lazy to go out for junk food is a great example of two negatives making a positive.
Well, now you don't have to be too lazy to do it. DoorDash or GoPuff it, you know?
Yep.
One of your ancestors was alive during every single historical event you've ever heard of.
Yeah. That is like a really cool thought process, you know?
Mm-hmm.
That like, well, I guess technically it would like all go back to Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
Like a weird
go way back.
Situation.
Yeah.
I was wondered about that. You know, I mean, because like obviously like you don't, you know, if we started inbreeding, there's like this weird thing that comes out. Back then, why didn't that happen? Also, I always have questions in the Bible about Methuselah, 900 years old.
Yep. Tell
me more about this.
Yep. Yeah, my you know, obviously it doesn't go into it enough at all in Scripture, really, but I think if, you know, God made the first couple of us, I think would have had a higher stock, if you will, just probably much better genetics across the board.
Right.
And it had to have weakened over time. There had to be, I mean, I can't imagine what God was, you know, I couldn't even possibly imagine what he was thinking, but like inbreeding and everything would have had to just been worked out where it wasn't a problem or whatever. Like there just weren't enough people. So I don't know. Because, after the flood, I mean, you know, we all say we come from Adam and Eve, but then it's like, big flood happened, though.
Yeah, then everyone came from Noah.
It's like Noah and his direct family?
Yeah.
Okay. Whatever.
Right. Yeah, and then I do think about the the 900 years and stuff, but we talked about like how much bigger animals and fruits and stuff were based on like they've calculated like atmospheric pressures, like the amount of oxygen in the air and like all that stuff. And so then just like I have a million questions. Also think that like a lot of this stuff is us messing around with diseases and things like that have like weakened people's genetic structures and
vaccines too.
Yeah. So, but no, it is. I think that's probably one of the. It's not as a hang up. It's like one of my questions. I'm like, I can't wait to like know I don't know if I'll ever know the answers because I don't know if you get to heaven and you're like, God, I want to know all the answers to stuff.
Can I check the library real quick, please?
Or if you like know it when you get there or like what it is like. But yeah, I think that's one of the things I'm always just like, I want to know about this.
Yeah.
You know?
I'd live 900 years.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Only if you were like able-bodied.
Yeah, true that.
So, okay.
You aren't paid according to how hard you work. You are paid according to how hard you are to replace.
Very true. And the problems that you solve, but that also makes you hard to replace. Yep, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Work hard or work smart, whatever. Those sayings get tossed around a lot, but shit, man,
Yeah.
If you got to figure out somebody's job all the time or enough, you're like, I got to get somebody in here, or I'm just going to gobble that up and keep it for the company.
Right.
Yeah, so.
That's true.
The 15 minutes of extra sleep after you wake up feels like a lot more than the 8 hours of sleep that you just had.
I can't relate.
No, that's not true to me.
I can't relate.
Yeah.
The North Pole is a planet away from the South Pole. After joining my Discord server, tell me.
Yep. Half a planet.
Well, the distance is a planet, though.
Yeah.
A planet across it.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That was it.
Interesting.
Yeah. I actually saw someone talk about there's a section of the like Antarctic North thing that like opens up a certain time of the year, and they're like gonna like no one will take them, so they're gonna like rent a boat and try to do it themselves and stuff. And I'm like, you're probably never coming back.
That's how you die.
So,
it's how people die. But
yeah,
hey, whatever.
It's called like something's gate, I think, or something like that.
Oh, neat.
So, yeah. Anyway, you got anything for the people before we end it?
No, we got a couple meetings jump in here in like 5 minutes, so always running.
I will say these are so comfy.
These are
not
nice,
like,
dude.
I'm just gonna
lounge a
sit
little
here
bit
for a second, prop my feet up. Yeah. Okay. You're worth it. Do hard shit.
See ya.